The reproductive organs of girls and boys become functional after adolescence. As they enter the adulthood, their organs are functional. That means they can have babies, they can have intimate sexual relations with each other. And actually, if you go by our ancient history, in India especially, child marriages were a reality. Even today in villages, child marriage is there. Then why is government saying that that's not done? It's illegal. The girl should be at least 18 and the boy 21. Why do we say that the sexual relations should be only within the marriage and with only one person? Are we only being conservative? Is it old fashioned? It has a scientific reason. In class 9 you studied about diseases. Now if bacteria and virus can enter through air, water, food, then what about direct contact, and that also an intimate contact like sexual contact? Obviously the chances are more, and there are many sexually transmitted diseases. The bacteria can cause diseases like gonorrhea, syphilis, which are extremely painful. Blisters appear on the private parts. And in the case of virus, we all know about AIDS. These are bacterial diseases and this is viral disease. So if you are not careful about choosing your partner, these diseases can be transmitted. That is one problem. Second problem is, if you are not physically, mentally and emotionally, and even you can say economically matured, independent, developed, then what is going to happen? There are chances that sexual intimacy will lead to pregnancy. Pregnancy would mean a child. Can an adolescent who is still studying, still growing, take care of another small child? Probably no. When we had joint families, the parents took care of the young children, but now we don't have. So who is going to take the responsibility of that young child? That is the question. Who is going to take responsibility of the mother who is still young and tender? And what happens if there are repeated pregnancies? The mother's health will start falling. And if the mother dies, in olden times, there are a lot of deaths of mothers during child delivery. And if there is repeated miscarriage, that is another problem. Okay, even if we leave these points, what is happening when there is unchecked reproduction? Population. Not only population, population explosion. With the advancement of science, this was one problem. The death rate declined while the birth rate increased. As a result, there was a tremendous increase in population. The resources are not as many. India at the time of independence had only 46 crore population. Today it is more than 100. Have we been able to increase our resources as much? No. Population has a vicious cycle. What is that vicious circle? Population leads to illiteracy. People are not able to study because there are not enough means. This leads to poverty. Or you can say poverty can be here also, and then more population. So when people are not educated, they don't know how to have birth control, there will be increase in population, and which will mean poverty, and a country or this world cannot really prosper if there is unchecked growth of population. Especially in the developing countries like say India and China, it is very important to have birth control. So in nutshell, there are three aspects. One is your personal hygiene. Second, your responsibility towards the child. Third, the angle of global concern, the population. Now, what is the way out? What to do? Can we still consider that children are the gifts of God? Or can man also do something in selecting this gift of God? Of course, the scientists have the answer, and that's our next topic of discussion. How can there be birth control? Simple. If we prevent fertilization, birth will not take place. How can we prevent? One method is mechanical, that is, there has to be a kind of barrier which will prevent the union of male and female gamete, that is in the form of condom. It is worn either on the penis, or there are other type of condoms which are used as a barrier in the vagina of female. So, that is one simple method by which the sperms will not enter the genital tract. Second method can be a kind of, it is called copper T or a loop, which is inserted in the female body, and this also prevents their fertilization. But here is the problem. This can cause irritation in the uterus, which can have its side effects. It is the hormones that trigger the production of ova. So, what will happen if this hormones balance is not there? If somehow the production of hormone is less, obviously the ova will not be mature. Ova will not mature. Or if progesterone is less, even if the fertilization has taken place, the further development of zygote will not happen, and there will be abortion. So, we can change the balance of hormones with the help of oral pills. But then what we are doing? We are changing the balance in the body, which can have its side effects. So, what is the next method? Next method is surgical method. In this method, what is done is that either the oviduct is tied so that ova do not reach the oviduct or below, and in the case of male, it is the vas deferens which is tied and even sometimes cut. So, surgical method can be very good. It is quite safe in the sense of it is not a very difficult operation. Of course, care has to be taken because there can be infections during surgeries, but even then it is quite a safe method, and it is also used very frequently. The methods are tubectomy and vasectomy. Tubectomy in female and vasectomy in males. If birth control is so simple, then how come our population is still increasing so much? Why steps taken by the government are not as successful and effective as they should be? Why there is so much of media campaign? The reasons are many, and one such reason is poverty. When people are poor, they think that more children means more hands to work, but they forget it also means more mouths to be fed. That is one problem. Then illiteracy is another problem. They think that children are a gift of God and we should not meddle with that. They do not even know about these simple methods, so they do not take care, right. Then socio-religious reasons. Even people who are educated, they also refuse to take certain steps. One reason for that was that they thought that it is very mandatory to have a male child, because male child is the one who is going to provide nirvana, who is going to perform the last rites, who is going to take care during the old age. And so, even if they wanted to have a planned family, they kept on producing children till there was a male child in the family. Now, that created another problem. In meanwhile, of course, you can't say in meanwhile, simultaneously, there was another method of birth control, which is abortion. If a child was unwanted, there could be a medical termination of pregnancy done surgically. But then if there is a repeated miscarriage, that can also be very drastic and very disastrous for the mother. So, repeated abortions are not a good idea. So, what to do? They want a boy also and they don't want too many children also. So, they started misusing. What started as just simple method to diagnose if there is any genetic disease ended up as the sex determination, or you can say selection of the sex of the fetus. This was worse than, you can say, killing of a girl child as was prevalent in medieval India. It was killing of the female fetus, the female feticide, by the method called amniocentesis, which of course in the beginning people thought it was great, but then it totally changed the balance, the ratio between the male and the female in a society. In many of our states, the number of females is now much less than the males. So, our government understood this. They have banned this selective sex selection. It is illegal to undergo this, but even then some people do it, but that is going to cause lot of problems for our society. So, these are some of the reasons because of which our family planning method is not so successful. But even then, we are at it, the government is at it, people are being made aware of various methods. These things are easily available, and so that the birth control can be there. And also the sexual hygiene is very important. Now, see how the laws are important for our own welfare. Now, you understand why the marriage age is important, why having sex with one known person is important, because we know the general health of that person, and as a result we will prevent any sexually transmitted disease. The girls will not conceive before they are emotionally, financially, physically, mentally independent. So, keeping all these things in their mind, our ancestors created certain social laws. They may not have explained to us scientifically, but at least today we can, and that is the reason why these social laws are important. But wherever they have only led to confusion, they have led to wrong ideas, there they must be stopped, like child marriage, like having repeated children or repeated abortions. Leaving at this note, I would wish all the best to everybody, to our country, so that we are healthy and we are happy. The reproductive health is very important. I like to call it sexual hygiene. Just as hygiene for the body is important, for the community is important, similarly for the reproductive system also it is very important. And for that we need to have marriage with one person, that means sexual contact within marriage and with one person. That is also a way to prevent sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS. Then also marriage after a certain age, like our government says 18 years for girls and 21 years for boys, or it can be even more. Why? Because by then the girls and the boys are physically and mentally matured, emotionally responsible, and also economically independent. They are in a position to take the responsibility of a child. Another important feature is that it's not that you can prevent the responsibility of child. You can say that we can use condoms or we can have abortions, but even they have repercussions. Even they meddle with our health. So, sexual hygiene also means that we should not unnecessarily avoid pregnancy. The idea is not only avoiding pregnancy as it is in the Western world. The idea is to be socially responsible, to be responsible towards our body. That is what is body hygiene or the reproductive hygiene. Then another feature, that no selection of sex through the amniocentesis that will imbalance the social balance, the ratio between male and the female, that will have another set of problems. See, in this world, in our body, in this entire ecosystem, the crux is the balance. The balance is very important everywhere. That means we have to have a centered behavior. Everything has to be centered. The ratio between male and female is also part of that balance, and that can be maintained if we don't meddle with nature. So that is why from time to time our government makes laws like the age for the marriage, law against amniocentesis, that is female feticide. But that doesn't mean that we need to discard everything that was there. We need to decipher what is relevant, what is right today. We need to retain it, and whatever is superfluous, harmful, disastrous, that has to be removed. So that is how the social heritage is. Retain the good, retain the strengths and build on that. And that is what is family planning.